Hello, welcome to Godfather Barbecue in Italian. So, listen, today, without a doubt, the most special video we've made to date. We've been talking about gravy sauce, Sunday gravy. Um, I'm going to give you something that's so near and dear to my heart, I can't even articulate it. Like, these are my grandparents, okay? So, that's Giovanni and Antoinette. Solano, Sicily. They came over in the 50s, right into Ellis Island in New York City, up to Boston. Grandmother never learned to speak English, never drove a car, never basically left the house except to go food shopping. And you know what? She was thrilled with that. And I know times were different. I wish she could have experienced more, but she was thrilled and happy. Grandfather was hard as nails, but never saw a man love a family more than anybody. So I could go on. I'm going to try to, for the sake of brevity, move through this quick, but we're gonna do our Italian sauce. I'm gonna bring you back. Like if you've ever gone into a restaurant, and I do it quite oftenly, um, whether it be a Mexican, Chinese, Italian. Well, not so much Italian because I mean, first generation. And these guys raised me. My dad wasn't around, and my mother worked, so I grew up, up until I was old enough to go to school with my grandparents, and that's how I learned to speak fluent Italian and all that. So I promise you, what I'm giving you here is like bringing you back to the 50s and 60s when Italians were coming over in droves and having what they ate in their kitchen. Okay, and where I started to go with that was, you ever gone into a restaurant? And I do it obviously with other cuisines, whether it be Mexican, Chinese, whatever. And you sit there and you have a great meal and you go, and if it's an authentic place, you go, I wonder what it's like in their kitchen at home. Okay, so I'm going to transport you there. And I promise you, this recipe, I painstakingly gathered in my mid 20s before my grandparents passed. By the way, 10 minutes of each other, natural causes. My grandfather always said, when I go, I'm coming to get your grandmother. And he did. Crazy story, but the truth. So, anyway, I'm going to bring you into that Italian kitchen, an authentic Italian kitchen, not second generation, not five generations, no offense, but I'm bringing you the closest you can get into going back into that golden era of immigrants coming to this country and bringing their indigenous food. This is it. So Sunday sauce was what it was for us, okay? And like we say, simple, easy, delicious. This recipe is so simple but so delicious. But there is a couple of nuances you're going to have to really pay attention, and I will remind you as we move through that make it different than a gravy or any other sauce you may have had. As far as the way our family does it, listen, there's a million different recipes like this, so I'm not saying ours is the way. I'm just showing you what it was like in our Italian kitchen. I grew up, my parents, my grand, everybody right off the boat. So you want the real deal? I'm going to take you there. There is not one thing I'm going to leave out. You do it exactly like this, you're going to be able to relive the food I ate. Okay, so let's talk about the Sunday sauce. Real simple. Here's the first difference right off the bat from my gravy video. We did the gravy video too, okay? And that's more of an American Italian thing. Filippo Berrio. I'm even going to bring it out to the brand they use of tomatoes, olive oil, and pasta. Exactly. There's nothing different here. Regular olive oil. Never used extra virgin in their kitchen for anything other than salads or dressing, green beans or, fresh beans or what have you, okay? Don't ask me why. I don't know if there was a reason. I'm just telling you where they did it. Regular olive oil. If you can't find Filippo Berrio, I mean, it's popular. Regular olive oil is good, not extra virgin. Okay, you want to use it, you can. I'm just telling you the way we did it. Salt, pepper. I got about 3/4 of a large onion chopped. I have 3 whole garlic cloves. Okay, they didn't chop the garlic. I'm gonna show you how we use them as we cook this. No chopped garlic. Okay, basil. Like this is fresh grown. Depending on what time of the year, my grandmother would throw or grandfather would throw some in at the end when they're mixing the pasta or whatever. For the most part, not really incorporated, but can or can't be. Just going to show you exactly both ways. Tomatoes. Now here's the crazy thing. So I'll start with the canned. Okay, so we've got a can of crushed Italian pastine and a can of whole peeled Italian pastine. These are the exact brands. Now, we're in the Northeast. I know Pastine is grown. It is a Boston-based company. And I know they're at least all up and down the East Coast. If you can't find it, it's okay. But make sure you use a quality crushed Italian and a quality whole Italian tomato. And I'll show you how we're gonna cook those. Hunt's tomato. Now, this you can find anywhere in the country. There was something about this. My grandfather used to say the way they there was something special about the way they process these tomatoes. Even though they're an American tomato, they do something where there's no chemical process when they remove the skins. So you're going to get a can. So we've got two 28-ounce cans of whole and crushed Italian tomatoes here, pastine preferably, okay? And then one, I believe it's a 12-ounce or 14-ounce can of Hunt's tomato sauce. If you can't find Hunt's tomato sauce, okay? Going to move on to the star of the show, okay? Here's the big deal: gravy, sauce. Some people say without meat, it's sauce. Some people say once you add it, it turns into gravy. All BS as far as I'm concerned, because gravy was for Thanksgiving. Right, Marie? You just texted me that, commented on that, so thank you. So anyway, star of the show. Now, meats, right? Basic stuff. You got to remember, these people coming from Italy, in that Depression era, a little, a few years beyond, but still are cognizant of the expense of meat, and meat wasn't that prevalent, or wasn't available in the selections, shall we say, as it is now. It was basically flank steak, skirt steak. This is just, and it could vary week to week. Whatever was at the market, they got. Okay, but this was the most commonly used cut. So this is shoulder steak with the bone in it. Okay, I just took it and chopped it up. There was two pieces here, two bones. The bone helps a little bit. It is nice. If you can't find it, nobody's going to eat the sauce and go, this would have been a lot better if the pork shoulder had bone in it. So don't freak out, okay? Chopped steak. Could be blade steak, skirt steak, whatever you have, thin, okay? I'm going to season this with salt and pepper before we fry it off. I have some of my homemade sausage here. These are sweet Italians. And my world famous Italian meatballs. Okay, we just made another video on that, so go check that out if you want to learn how to make them. They're really great, moist, wonderful addition. And that's another nuance that we're going to use here. My grandparents never, ever fried their meatballs, okay? I love fried meatballs, so don't get me wrong, but again, I'm bringing you back to that kitchen. Exactly like if you came over our house or my grandparents' house in the 50s, anywhere through the 90s for Sunday dinner, this is what you're going to have. All right, so we're going to have our meatballs. Ziti without the lines. Everything was macaroni. If it wasn't long, anything long was called spaghetti, and anything short or tubular was called macaroni. It wasn't ziti, linguine, fettuccine. It was either spaghetti or macaroni. So this is the macaroni, but traditionally, this is what we'd use. Prince, ziti, no lines, because they do make it with the lines. So I'm trying to authenticate this as best I can. But let's get to this. I'm so excited to bring you our home into your home. We'll see when we get cooking. All right, so you can see here, I'm going to fry this stuff off in batches. I put it in, season it when it's in the pan. It's just easier, salt, pepper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead through this, fry this all off. Everything except the meatballs. I'm going to do sausage, pork, and beef. Fry it off. We're going to put it in the pan on a plate. We'll see at that point. Just about done with the meat. So here's what I'm going to do. And again, this you just want to brown off, okay? You don't want to cook it all the way through by any means. Just get a nice brown coloring on it. And very important, see this juice that's accumulating here? Do not drain that. We're going to put that right in the sauce when we're done. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to pull this off the heat for just a minute. It's okay. You see we have just the right amount of olive oil left for the onions and garlic. Cook that on like a medium heat. And I coated just the bottom until it was enough to coat the meat. So the onions, we're going to throw in. Those a stir. And the garlic's going right in, whole cloves, okay? Give this a little salt, help the onions sweat. And these garlics are just going to roll around in there. And once the onions are nice and soft, about 7-8 minutes, you can caramelize them if you want. My grandparents didn't do that. Again, they just let some caramel around them, soften them up. But at that point, before we add the tomato products, we're going to pull those garlics out. Okay? We'll see at that point. Couple quick things I just wanted to mention. This is such a mellow sauce. It's probably going to be not like anything you've had as far as the flavors like kicking you in the teeth. It doesn't do that. One of the main reasons is you're just going to have this nice roasted mellow garlic in the background. You chop garlic up, it gets stronger the smaller you make it, and oftentimes overbearing. Two other things I forgot to mention: no paste. There's no paste in our sauce. That's like almost as bad as sugar, which I don't even think they had sugar in the house. Okay, so it was that bad. No sugar, no paste. Don't chop your garlic. The reason for that is you're going to have a wonderfully mellow. I can't wait for you to try it. You have to try it. We'll see you soon. All right, so we got the garlic out. Now I'm going to start with the sauce. We're going to kind of use this as a deglazer. Hear that nice sizzle? That's what you should hear. And let's use this to. There's not a lot of fond left because those onions naturally release their liquid with the salt. So really, it picked up most of that fond, but do scrape up whatever little bits you have so they don't burn here. And this is going to become kind of a base. I'm going to turn our heat up. I'm going to add in our rest of our canned tomatoes. Order doesn't matter, so let's drop the whole. Nice, huh? Those are beautiful. Drop the crushed. And I'm going to start with about 3/4 of a can of water to that, maybe a half. We'll see what it looks like. Those whole tomatoes are going to break down and release more liquid, so let's start with a half. It's about what my grandparents did. Okay, so from here, here's the magic, right? We're going to let this cook for 1 hour, okay, with the lid on. And I've also refrigerated the meatballs, by the way. The other meat you want to leave out of room temperature. I want that to get back down to, it's still going to be in the safe zone for eating, but I want that to cool off. With the gravy right now, the traditional Sunday gravy I make, I would add the meat right in now and just start from here. Hence the reason why sometimes those are more pungent as far as flavors go with the tomatoes. They're more acidic. What this is going to do by cooking it for an hour is you're going to make an actual sauce before the sauce. So you're going to cook out all the acidity, and I keep talking about that mellow flavor. This is the secret. It took me a long time to put 2 and 2 together because my grandfather never articulated it that way to me. But as I learned more about cooking, that's what's going on. So we're going to cover this up. I'm going to cook it at a pretty hefty simmer or a pretty good medium to low boil, okay, just for the first hour. Every 15 minutes, give it a stir. You do not want to burn it. And naturally, these whole tomatoes are going to break up, and whatever isn't, I will just kind of crush. This is going to be more of a rustic sauce. It's not going to be smooth, but I'll break up what hasn't broken up yet to the best of my ability, but I'm not worrying about it because it kind of adds an element to the sauce that's nice, okay? We'll see you in an hour. Salt, pepper, too. We're gonna go about 1 teaspoon per can, so 3 teaspoons of salt and about a half teaspoon per can of pepper. So I'm gonna do 1.5 pepper, or to your taste with the pepper. You don't like it, don't do it. You like it more, do that. Mix that in, and once again, we'll see you back in an hour. All right, so I just got done helping these tomatoes out a little bit. We've been an hour. You see that rapid simmer? This is what you want to do for an hour. And you see that it's nice. I mean, they were mostly broken down. I gave it a little hand with just a masher in the back of my spoon. They were very soft, just to kind of get them going into a consistency that's going to be kind of nice and rustic. And they'll break down more. We still got another couple hours here, but I want to get them to that point. Other thing that's not in this, as I was sitting here for the last hour going over the gravy and sauce thing, no wine either. That's the other thing I failed to mention. That no butter, no wine. If you go back to our gravy video, you see that Major differences. But now this is at the point where all the acidity's cooked out of it, okay? The meat's not still at a high temperature, so it's broken the cooking cycle. So this meat's gonna go in there and be relaxed and be able to release its flavor and juices. Same thing with the meatballs when we put them in there. The nice thing about not frying them is they're going to season the sauce like crazy because they're just going to meld in all the cheese, the parsley, the garlic, and the meatballs and the meat. I think gives you a much better mellow meat flavor, and that's probably why overall I keep saying mellow than the typical gravy I make. Anyway, everybody, at the end of the day, you can call this gravy. It's got meat in it, whatever you want. We call it sauce. So I'm going to dump the meat back in here slowly. Don't forget that juice. I'm going to give this a nice mix, get it all incorporated. I know I should be using the spoon, so don't yell at me, everybody out there in YouTube land. Just easier. Okay, nice. It's all incorporated. So I'm going to let this go about 2 hours, give or take. The sauce will actually be done, meaning good and edible in another hour. Because again, we're not having the meat battle the acidity. So it's just a matter of tenderizing the meat and letting it flavor. Now, generally that takes about 2 hours. You can go longer. My grandparents every once in a while would just let it go and the meat would just shred in and would kind of be, not a bolognese because it's not ground meat, but kind of neat that way too. So you decide. But at about the hour and a half point, I'm going to come back and just start checking the meat for tenderness. Meatball is going to take about a half hour to 45 minutes. So right as I'm, within a half an hour of the meat being done, we'll throw in the meatballs, not fried, just raw. It's going to be awesome. It smells, just like the kitchen did at our house 40 some odd years ago. We'll see you soon. One more thing. I'm going to turn this down to a simmer. And at this point, I'm going to leave the lid ajar like this. If you can't do that, you can do this, okay? I do want it to start evaporating and thicken up a little bit. And if it gets too thick, I can add water to it. But I'm going to be cooking it this way from here out. All right, so listen, 2 hours and 30 minutes into it, and we are looking good. I like the pork like this. See how it's coming off the bone? Look at it. This perfect example. Nice and tender. Not quite like rip apart yet because I'm going to put the balls in now. And by the time the 30, 45 minutes, this is going to be perfect. And I'm nothing more than love a couple of extra pieces just floating around just like my family did it in the sauce. So this is perfect. You see how it's thickened up from having that lid ajar a little bit, okay? I've got over here a pot of water going. I'm going to figure this about 10, 12 minutes for the pasta we're using. And I'm going to put my meatballs in now. So in about 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and drop the pasta. Very important, you salt your pasta water, but don't do it in the beginning. Don't ask me why. It's just what I've been told. So once it starts boiling, we're going to put, we're going to pound of pasta. We're going to put about a tablespoon of salt in there. I'm going to drop the balls now. Let you witness this. These are going to be beautiful. And now they've been refrigerated, so they're a bit firm, which is good. So you're able to stir these in, get everything coated. Nice. Okay. And again, these are going to take 30 to 45 minutes because they're cold, probably closer. I'm going to give them 45. You really can't overcook them. So we'll see in about 15, 20 minutes when it's time to drop the pasta. Once this boils, I am going to salt it. 15, 20 minutes, we'll see you. All right, so we're back. I've had the meatballs on about 25 minutes now. They were taking a little longer to cook than I thought they would because they're in the fridge. So water's boiling here. I'm going to figure on this 10 to 12 minutes. So by that time, the meatballs have been in for 40, 45 minutes. Again, about a tablespoon here. We'll go right in. Pasta, the macaroni. You give that a stir. No olive oil. Do not oil your water, whether before or after. Okay. I'm gonna show you what to do once we drain it, which is really just give it a good stir in the strainer and then pot it up, or plate it up. So we're gonna come back here. It's about a 12 minute pasta, depending on how hard it's boiling. And then we're gonna plate everything up, and Tina, we're gonna have some Sunday sauce.
Okay.
All right, you excited? I haven't made this in years, right? We've been doing the American version, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I want to see if you have a favorite here. I mean, I love them both, but we'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, folks. So we'll wind it down here. We got the pasta in. The balls are about done. I'm gonna hit this with some basil right before I pull it out to sauce it. The pasta I'm gonna put in the strainer just as you're putting it in, mix it up. But while I'm here, just wanted to say a couple things. Thank you all for your support. Um, Thank you to my wonderful grandparents and family for giving us this recipe. And I think you're going to really love this. I know you are. And if you can, subscribe, like, and share. Turn your notifications on. Um, we've been doing this 8 months. And listen, it's nothing about the money. It's just exciting for us and to be able to share with people. That's just our kind of philosophy and what we like to do. And when I hear from people from Ireland, from Australia, from Canada, that makes our day. Okay, um, we're coming up on. We've got the better part of 100 views, but we're coming up on I'm sorry, 100 videos. We're coming up on 100,000 views. I mean, that's like mind blowing to us. So we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. If you could turn your notifications on, we need to get more people back in looking at all those videos. And share and subscribe means a lot. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here's one other difference, and it's probably meaningless at the end of the day, but I'm just trying to authenticate this the best I can. Normally, when I cook a gravy, I'll sauce the pasta in the pot I cooked it in. My grandmother always put it in a bowl. Again, just gave it a stir, never any oil or water or anything like that, and then just kind of come over and put the sauce. Look at the color of that, Tina. And you know what? They never um, used a lot of sauce. I like a little more, honestly. But even my mom, my aunts, my uncles, everybody that came over on that boat, that's about what they'd have right there. But we're gonna kick it up a couple notches, Tina. See how you got a little meat in there? Shred it up. I've got another bowl that is full with it, but this will be pretty when we come back from the shop. But I just want you to see what goes into how we get here. But there's something about doing it this way as opposed to putting it in the pot it was cooked in and then turning the heat on and kind of incorporating it. That's what I do when I do the American, Italian version, Italian American version. Does that look good, Tina? How's it smell?
Smells delicious.
Oh, it's just got like a wholesome, different smell to it. But see if I can do this without making a mess. All right, we'll be back when we get it nice and pretty. All right, Tina. So here's what we're gonna do. Um, we all know meatballs. I mean, we've had sausage. I mean, pork. It's wonderful. The main thing here is the sauce, right? So we're gonna just try this sauce out, and this is exactly how our family served it. It was the meat and then the pasta, never together until you put it, or unless you put it in your bowl that way. Some of my parents or relatives rather would eat the meat and then the pasta, or vice versa. Sometimes never together, but at any rate, most of the time it was together. So we're gonna have Tina. A little bit of the sauce and the pasta. And I know it's been a long time since you've had the Vertulo Sunday sauce. So I'm really curious because I've been tasting it throughout the cooking, so I know.
Okay. Should probably be having our child Giovanni doing this since he loves pasta.
Oh, somebody's got to film.
Very good. It's a lot lighter.
Yeah, like I almost want to use like it's pure, but not. You know what I mean? It's like real Italian. Like there's like 3 or 4 ingredients, right? Garlic, onions.
Yeah, because I don't like a sauce that's like too thick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot thinner. That's more my side, but it's not too thin that it actually is coating the pasta, but
Then it's got a lot of flavor,
it's
right?
very good. Very strong flavor, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you get it all. Sometimes you can do more with less, and
Yeah.
I think this is one of those meals. And listen, I love the gravy I make. I love Sunday. I love. You know, it's funny. We were talking about this earlier, like how this meal has become, morphed into on the Medigana side, as my grandfather would say. You know, people started putting wine and this and that. And I know people in Italy, some of them put wine, but they're all great. They're all good. I mean, unless you put sugar or anything that shouldn't be in there, I'm going to love all of these. But this is so special to me. And I'd hope it would be to you. So just try this again. Let me know your comments. Give it a shot, and like, subscribe, share, turn your notifications on. And I hope this is going to be as special for you guys as it is to us. Thank you again.